Most people think Bigfoot stories are just campfire nonsense, misidentified bears, shadows in the trees. But when you start reading witness reports from the Pacific Northwest, things get strange fast. Because some of these encounters, they weren't told once. They were reported by hunters, loggers, park workers, people who know these forests better than anyone. This first story comes out of Oregon, October 29th, 1980, near Yoncalla in Douglas County. Two brothers, Charles Stevens and Jimmy, were driving old logging roads just after sunrise. Thick fog, quiet hills, nothing unusual. Then they spotted movement. At first, they thought it was elk, but elk don't walk upright. Estimated at over 7 feet tall, broad shoulders, arms that hung well below the waist. Then they realized something stranger. There wasn't just one. A smaller figure walked beside it. The larger creature stopped, turned, and stared directly at them for nearly 30 seconds. And according to the witnesses, it didn't look confused. It looked aware. And if that sounds strange, wait until you hear what hikers reported in the Sierra Mountains. October 1988, Bear Paw Meadow, deep in California's High Sierra wilderness. Backpackers began hearing screams at dusk. Not coyotes, not mountain lions, something deeper. Witnesses described it as chest rattling, loud enough to echo through granite valleys. The next day, 3 experienced trail workers spotted something massive moving across a hillside. Upright, covered in dark hair, long arms. One worker fired a warning shot, but the creature didn't panic, didn't charge, it didn't even run. It simply altered course and disappeared into the trees. That report was filed with the BFRO on January 24th, 1997. Case number 2183. Now Bigfoot is strange enough. But there's another creature reported across the Pacific Northwest. One witnesses describe as faster, more aggressive, and far harder to explain. Imagine driving a logging road at midnight and seeing something standing on 2 legs with the head of a wolf. This account comes from a truck driver in rural Washington. 2003. He described it as 7 to 8 feet tall, legs bent backward at the knee, digitigrade, yellow reflective eyes. It didn't run, it watched. Before we continue, if you've spent time in remote forests, tell me something. Have you ever heard something that didn't sound right? Something you couldn't explain? Leave it in the comments. Witnesses across 3 different states described the same movement pattern. Slow, deliberate, like something that had no reason to be afraid. One witness said it turned its head toward him, slowly, and held eye contact for nearly a full minute before stepping back into the dark. No aggression, no panic, just awareness. Whether you believe these stories or not, one thing is difficult to ignore. Witnesses from different places, different decades, just keep describing the same things. Massive height, human-like movement, observation behavior, sudden disappearance. Maybe it's folklore, maybe it's misidentification, or maybe there's something moving through these forests that most people never see. And maybe it saw you first.
In April 2026, near Westlake, a woman reported seeing a large, dark creature behind her home near the swamp. Around 8 p.m., while placing hay bales near the water, she dropped one over an embankment and walked down to retrieve it. As she came around a large tree, she saw a massive dark figure standing upright. The creature suddenly ran through thick vines and palmettos, moving toward a canal before crossing waist-deep water on 2 legs. The witness said she has lived in the area for years and knows the sounds of deer and hogs moving through water. This sounded completely different. She also reported strange animal behavior in the days before the sighting, with pets refusing to leave the house and neighborhood animals acting unusually afraid. Stay tuned for more.
Encounter 1 in October 2000, near Sorrento, a woman driving home on Highway 61 reported seeing a strange creature rise from a ditch beside the road. Around 7 p.m., just after dark, she was watching for deer and other animals when something suddenly stood upright in her headlights. She described it as 6 to 7 feet tall, covered in light grey hair, with a thin body, extra long arms, and a small round head with a brown nose. The hair was sleek and close to the body, not bushy. Its eyes didn't glow, but appeared white around them. She said it looked somewhat like a sloth, but stood upright and seemed intelligent and man-like. Before she could turn around, the creature disappeared near the swampy canal lined with cypress trees. Encounter 2 in the late summer of 1978, deep in the McElroy Swamp in Ascension Parish, a group camping in a floating camp heard a scream they never forgot. An 8-year-old boy, his older brother, and 2 cousins had spent the night catching bullfrogs miles into the swamp, only reachable by boat. Just after 1 a.m., one cousin blew an old hunting bullhorn, hoping to hear a screech owl call back. Instead, something screamed. The witness said he had heard many sounds in the swamp, including panthers, but this was unlike anything he had ever heard. The scream happened only once, then complete silence. Even stranger, about 2 weeks later, local news reported 7 or 8 motorists seeing a large upright creature crossing Interstate 10 only a few miles away through the swamp. The area remains miles of unbroken swampland filled with bayous and sloughs. Encounter 3 in June 2023, near Natchitoches, a local resident reported a close-range daylight encounter on a dirt road near Highway 117. About an hour before dark, while turning onto the dirt road leading to his home, the witness saw a 7 to 8 foot tall creature cross the road roughly 50 feet ahead. He described it as russet brown, covered in 6 to 8 inch long hair. The creature crossed the road in only 2 or 3 steps before disappearing into thick pine trees. The next day, the witness returned to search for tracks but found nothing. The area was heavily wooded with planted pine forests and rolling hills. Encounter 4 in the early 1990s, about 20 miles south of Natchitoches near Interstate 49, a motorist reported seeing a tall black figure standing near a forest. It was late afternoon, around 4:30 to 5:30 p.m., about 2 hours before dark, when the witness noticed something in a valley roughly 100 yards away near a fence line, beside pine woods and a burned patch of forest. Standing upright was a very tall black hairy creature, estimated to be over 6 feet tall. The witness couldn't see its face but immediately knew it wasn't any animal he recognized, including bears. Another driver appeared to see it too. After reaching a gas station in Natchitoches, the out-of-state motorist from Missouri stopped and asked, "Did you see it too?" Both agreed they had never seen anything like it. Encounter 5 in July 2018, near Many, 2 witnesses reported a nighttime road crossing on Highway 175 between Many and Pleasant Hill. While driving through a heavily wooded stretch of road, the driver, his mother, and her boyfriend came around a curve and saw a huge upright creature crossing the road. As they approached, the witness saw its right arm and legs stepping into the woods. He described it as massive, covered in dark brown hair, and moving so quickly it seemed gone in a single step. Both he and his mother reacted at the same time, asking each other, "Did you see that?" The witness said the sighting still gives him goosebumps and that he no longer goes out there at night. The area includes thick woods, ponds, pastures, and chicken farms. Encounter 6 in November 2003, near Many, a witness reported seeing a large bipedal figure while taking his dog outside at night. Around 10 p.m., he and his dog had been outside for about 10 minutes when he noticed a creature standing 20 to 25 feet away near a shed, with woods directly behind it. A street light behind him lit the area, and he said he knew it wasn't a shadow. The creature stood 8 to 9 feet tall, weighed an estimated 500 pounds, had dark hair, and broad shoulders around 4 to 5 feet wide. As the two stared at each other, the witness noticed a powerful smell, like a wet deer but 10 times stronger. His dog immediately wanted to go back inside. When the witness turned after hearing a noise nearby, the creature turned too, appearing alert. He said it eventually took a defensive posture and seemed agitated that he wasn't running. Fearing it might charge, he went inside, grabbed a handgun, and returned, but the creature was gone. He could still hear movement in the woods. The next day, he found a single footprint measuring roughly 18 to 20 inches long. He said strange sounds, odors, and encounters had continued around the property for nearly 3 years. Encounter 7 in November 2000, near Georgetown, two 14-year-old deer hunters reported a close encounter while hunting near a deer stand. Around 4 p.m., just before dusk, the teenagers had been sitting in their stand for about 30 minutes when one noticed something moving toward a group of wild hogs roughly 40 feet away. At first, they thought it looked like a man duck walking toward the hogs. The figure scratched its head, looked around, shifted its weight, and made blowing sounds similar to a deer. After one of the boys accidentally bumped his 20-gauge shotgun against the deer stand, the creature suddenly stood upright. The hogs immediately ran. The boys panicked, jumped on their four-wheeler, and sped away. After crossing a small creek, one looked back and saw the figure standing beside a tree watching them leave. The witnesses said they watched it for nearly 10 minutes total. They described it as reddish-brown, covered in hair, around 7 feet tall, and weighing an estimated 300 to 350 pounds. Its face had hair but was less covered than the rest of its body, and they could clearly see its eyes. The area had been unusually quiet, with no sounds except wild hogs rooting nearby. The witnesses also reported strange activity in the weeks before the sighting, including dogs acting frightened, a large figure near an oak tree close to a family home, and several destroyed deer feeders, including one with a dead squirrel stuffed inside and its tail removed. The area was surrounded by pine forest, swamps, creeks, oak trees, and recent logging activity.
Dive into a collection of authentic Bigfoot encounters pulled straight from the late 1980s newspaper archives. These articles capture raw eyewitness accounts from across the Midwest and Northeast. Tall, hairy figures lurking in woods, mysterious footprints, and close calls that left hunters, teens, and motorists stunned. Passionate researchers pleading, "Don't shoot!" to shadowy figures on Kansas highways and eerie red-eyed creatures in rural fields. These historical reports highlight a wave of unexplained activity that fueled the Sasquatch legend. First-hand stories remind us why Bigfoot remains one of America's enduring mysteries. Reported by Mike Harden, Scripps, Howard News Service. "Don't shoot Bigfoot," begged the headline of a recent edition of the Newcomerstown News. The plea was an echo of the concern voiced on the eve of deer season by Don Keating, one of Tuscarawas County's more intriguing characters. Keating is the 27-year-old founder and president of the Eastern Ohio Bigfoot Study Group and self-published author of the definitive work, The Eastern Ohio Sasquatch. Once a month, Keating assembles true believers in a meeting room at Newcomerstown's Duke's Inn Motel. The group, usually 24 or so, exchanges information on encounters, ponders casts taken from supposed footprints, and examines blurred and hazy snapshots. Others, an example of what emulsion and imagination can do when an errant, hairy thumb strays into a viewfinder. I have sat in Keating's living room and pored over his photographic evidence. The pictures represent a determined man's obsession to prove that there really is something out there crashing about in the woods. Thus, in the hours before hundreds of deer hunters were loosed upon the wooded areas around Newcomerstown, where Keating claims there have been 36 Bigfoot encounters this year to date, he was understandably concerned. "There's always a danger they're going to see something they think is a bear and shoot," he said. "My main concern is that some nut doesn't go out in the woods saying, 'I'm going to get Bigfoot.'" Now that the regular deer season is finished, one can only presume that the object of Keating's concern dodged the bullets. Keating knows he is out there somewhere, He goes searching for him 3, sometimes 4 times a weekend, armed with nothing more dangerous than a Sears camcorder. Only a week before deer gun season, Keating and a friend experienced an encounter with a shadowy figure lurking an estimated 300 yards from them in a field. Flush with his find, he permitted the news to run his telephone number so that deer hunters could report their encounters. None did. There were hundreds of people in the woods out there, Keating later complained, and somebody out there somewhere had to have seen something. But what should they have been looking for? Hunters, still hunting, and the Black Powder Gang, whose primitive weapons season has yet to begin, take into the woods with them. There is some disagreement on Sasquatch's precise appearance. Some say he's brown, others black. 6 toes, 5, 4. It is unclear. How tall? Are there no national authorities on the creature? Keating allowed that a couple of self-appointed authorities existed, cautioning, however, and without intended irony, in Bigfoot circles they're not known as credible. Smells bad. 2, likes women. And 3, scares away game as it lumbers through the woods. But on the last day of deer gun season, that description could have been given to any one of hundreds of the hunters as well. If the creature was out there, Keating earnestly mused, and I know it is, they had to run into it. Did he not, after all, in May of this year examine a set of 17.5-inch footprints, 9 inches wide at the ball of the foot? Were they not, he mused, made by a creature taking 4-foot strides up the 45-degree slope of a hillside? The dog came across the road near to where the thing was standing, and it started whining and took off, said the teen, on August 24. The mystery deepened as the young man and a friend camped out near where the encounter took place. At 2 a.m., it seemed that something was watching them. I stared at it, and it stared back, and it kind of went away, said the youth. The witness said he observed 2 glowing red eyes, approximately 6 feet off the ground. The eyes appeared to be circling the camp. They weren't just round-like, they were oblong, longer than they were round, added the observer. 2 possible footprints were found at the campsite in direct relation to the glowing red eyes. The impressions measured 10.5 inches long by 4.5 inches wide, with a stride of 56 inches between them. Certainly an encounter hard to miss. It is interesting to note that the date of this encounter falls on the 11th anniversary of the Abair Pond, Whitehall encounters of 1976. In that instance, as many as 9 witnesses, many of them law enforcement officials, reported seeing a large, hairy, red-eyed creature walking on 2 legs and disappearing into the dense rural woodlands. Probably not coincidental and safe traveling a particular route, then it would make sense that they would stay along the same route. Coming from the woods at about 1 a.m. Lasting 30 seconds, with 4 seconds separating each scream, the mystery vocalizations echoed through Hampton for at least 3 minutes. In the weeks ahead, the muzzle loaders and bow hunters will take to the woods. Should they see anything strange out there knocking around the underbrush, Keating hopes they'll call before shooting. After all, the creature is rather passive and shy, certainly not harmful and very elusive. Anyone with information regarding these encounters is urged to contact Paul B. Bartholomew, RFD2, Whitehall. Bigfoot encounter reported by startled teen in Hampton. By Paul Bartholomew. Special to the Whitehall Times, a startled teenager may have recently glimpsed a creature resembling the legendary Bigfoot or Sasquatch in Hampton. The 16-year-old, wishing to remain anonymous, claims he was walking along 22A South when he spotted a dark figure lurking along the roadside. The encounter reportedly took place around 3 p.m. on August 18th. The youth reportedly observed the creature for approximately 3 full seconds before both took off in opposite directions. I could see the back, a big back, and it was dark, it was awful matted, he said. Article 2, Journal Courier, Jacksonville, IL, February 2, 1989. Strange lights reported by several in Brown County reports of strange lights in the sky Tuesday night were received by the Brown County Sheriff's Department Wednesday morning. Several people in the Rushville area reported seeing flashing lights in the sky about 6:40 p.m. Robert Zimmerman, a hog farmer who lives near Versailles, said he and his wife were driving to Mount Sterling on Illinois 107 when they saw 7 or 8 blinking yellow lights, which appeared to be moving in a circle in the sky ahead of them. Zimmerman said they watched the display for 6 or 7 minutes. He said they were 2 or 3 miles from the new prison at Mount Sterling and thought at first they were seeing lights at the prison. Zimmerman said the lights appeared to be about 40 feet higher than the prison water tower. He said the lights appeared to be about 2/10 of a mile away, and when he could no longer see them, he stopped his car. "Because I was afraid I was going to run into something. I've never seen anything like it before," he said. "I can't explain it." Brown County Sheriff Michael Myers said he checked with personnel at the Quincy Airport, but they did not report seeing any unusual phenomena. Air traffic controllers at Capitol Airport in Springfield did not note any unusual occurrences Tuesday night either. They are part of a sharp increase, which began in August 1987 and continued last year, in the number of encounters that can't be explained, say 2 area UFO researchers. Nearly 44% of the 350 cases reported in 1988 to the Pennsylvania Association for the Study of the Unexplained remain unsolved, said Director Stan Gordon of Greensburg. Most UFO encounters usually can be explained by natural phenomena or aircraft in the area at the time of the reports, Gordon said. In 1986, 22% of Gordon's cases were unexplained, but that jumped to 38% in 1987, he said, driven up by reports from the second half of the year. Paul G. Johnson, a chemistry professor at Duquesne University and head of his own Center for UFO Research, said he received 270 reports in the past year, about twice the normal number, most of them from Beaver, Allegheny, and Westmoreland counties. About 30 of his cases remain unsolved, including one from the fall in which a Beaver County woman saw an object the size of Three Rivers Stadium cross the sky. Both investigators said that a hot spot for UFO and Bigfoot encounters is Chestnut Ridge, a heavily wooded mountain range that runs from West Virginia into Indiana County. Many of the reports that Gordon and Johnson receive are from the section of the ridge between Derry and Ligonier, where Sherry claims to have had an encounter with Bigfoot. One person who doesn't need hypnosis to remember and isn't afraid to tell is Sherry, 67, who lives in Wilpin, 5 miles north of Ligonier, and tells the tale of his encounter with Bigfoot to anyone who will listen. Sherry's report is among 28 Bigfoot encounters that PSU learned of in 1988. It's the most encounters in 1 year since 1973, when 20 feet of something he called Bigfoot. He watched the 6.5-foot-tall, 700-pound creature with arms nearly down to its ankles as it breathed heavily and scratched its abdomen. When Sherry turned to go to his car, the creature put one arm on Sherry's shoulder and another on his back, he said. But Sherry was able to get into his car and drive away. Unlike other reports from the area of a furry ape-like creature in the woods, Sherry said the beast he saw had skin similar to rawhide and had no teeth. To harness a Bigfoot, Sherry sent away to Abilene, Texas, for a steel cable strong enough to pull 5,000 pounds without breaking. The day of her encounter, Mrs. Collins said she woke up at 2 a.m. to look out the window. She saw a bright light that moved closer until it was outside her window. The light, which mesmerized her, came from a craft hovering about 50 feet above her home. She said Mrs. Yanity was sitting in a neighbor's backyard when she noticed a light in the sky and went home to watch it. "I put my window blind up in the kitchen, and there it was coming," said Mrs. Yanity, a widow. "The craft was shaped like a helmet, had 4 legs hanging down, and hovered about 200 feet in the air. It had 2 orange lights and flickering red and green lights," she said. She said she watched as the craft flew toward Pennsylvania Electric Coke's power plant in Homer City. Gordon said he has received a number of reports about UFOs above power stations. He believes it may be because the crafts are siphoning energy from the plants. West Penn Power spokesman David Schmidt said he recalled an incident in September 1987 when a UFO was reported near a Greensburg substation. At the same time, there was a momentary power loss. But he said the power loss was caused by a slight malfunction in an automatic circuit breaker, and no one at the station saw anything hovering. Schmidt also said voltage at the company's power stations is monitored continuously, and any drop in voltage, such as that caused by siphoning of energy, would be detected immediately. "To tell you the truth, if these ships want to come down and hover over our plants and use our power, I don't really mind as long as they pay for it," Schmidt said. Pennsylvania Electric Car also poked fun at reports from the summer that UFOs were hovering over its power plants in Homer City. But before he starts his mission, Sherry said he is waiting for hunting season to end and the woods to become quiet. Then he'll wait for a heavy snowfall so he can look for Bigfoot tracks. When he finds the right area, Sherry plans to loop one end of the cable around a tree. The other end he will place in a loop on the ground with bait in its center. Other Bigfoot spotters have reported seeing the animal eat berries. When Bigfoot steps into the loop, a trigger device will make it snap shut around the creature's legs, Sherry said. After publicly displaying the beast, Sherry said he'll sell it to the highest bidder. Mrs. Collins and Mrs. Yanity believe they saw spaceships and have spent a lot of time wondering who was controlling the crafts. The thought scares both of them. They, aliens, are out there. I think they are trying to figure out what we are doing, Mrs. Collins said. Article 3, Capital Journal, Topeka, KS, September 30, 1978, by S. Hicks Cosquatch. Motorist on Turnpike has strange creature encounter, by Tim Aird. The Capital Journal state, staff late one night, a traveler driving down the highway was startled when a large, dark figure moved from the shadows along the side of the road into the glare of his car's headlights. The figure was that of a large, hairy creature, according to the traveler's description. Its hair looked auburn. The creature, he reported later, stood erect and looked to be between 8 and 10 feet tall. He first spotted it when it stepped onto the roadway about 80 yards in front of his car, the man said. He slammed on the brakes, and when he was about 30 yards away, he could see the creature looking at his car. Its eyes glowed like a cat's with the reflection of the oncoming headlights. Quickly, the creature moved off the road and disappeared back into the shadows. The traveler said the creature was not a man, bear, or gorilla. So what was it? And where did the encounter take place? There are some who are suggesting that what the traveler saw might have been the legendary Sasquatch, or Bigfoot, from the North Woods. But the traveler reported the encounter as he drove along the Kansas Turnpike at about 2:30 a.m., Thursday, approximately 8 miles west of the Kansas City, Kansas toll booths. After receiving a report on the encounter, a Douglas County Sheriff's Department dispatcher relayed the information by teletype to the Leavenworth County Sheriff's Department, since the encounter took place in that county. But Friday, Leavenworth County authorities denied they received any information by teletype or radio. Douglas County authorities say they did. A dispatcher for the Kansas Highway Patrol Office in Kansas City, Kansas, said she had not received any information on the encounter either. Employees with the Leavenworth County Sheriff's Department dismissed the encounter as humorous, but there is at least one group that is taking the encounter seriously. Erwin Alpert, Kansas City, director of research for the Sasquatch Research Group, said Friday he talked with the man who had the encounter with the creature, and he intends to interview the man further on Saturday. Alpert said the man who had the encounter with the creature has been bear hunting in the past, and said what he saw was not a bear. In addition, Alpert and other members of the group plan to go out to the approximate location of the encounter and search the area. Alpert refused to reveal the name of the man who reported the encounter because he said persons reporting to have had Bigfoot-type creature encounters are often harassed by the public. Alpert, who has been researching the Bigfoot phenomenon for 13 years, said there have been numerous similar encounters in eastern Kansas and western Missouri in recent years. There were encounters a few years ago a motorist reported catching a glimpse of a large figure moving into the bushes near the intersection of K10 and K7. There have also been reports of bears, or bear-like beasts in the area too. Last week, motorists reported seeing a bear sitting in the median at the 198-mile marker on the turnpike, and there was a more recent report about bear tracks being found near Eudora. This, the encounter early Thursday, is just the first one that has been reported to the authorities, Alpert said. But was it? Earlier this year, a family living near Springdale in Leavenworth County was warned by a sheriff's deputy to take care of the family horses because there had been a few instances of horses being injured or killed by what authorities thought at the time was a bear. When asked later about the possibility of bears in the area near Springdale, officials with the sheriff's department laughed that possibility off, saying, "Whoever cooked up such a story must have been baying at a full moon." While law enforcement officials may not be taking the encounter seriously, Alpert is, at least until he pursues it a little further. Radio airwaves because, whenever there are reported encounters, monster hunters come out with their guns. Officers can't locate furry beast. 9 legs through a rural area northwest of Lawrence, but 5 law enforcement officers who looked for it Sunday couldn't find it. Officers from the Douglas County Sheriff's Office, the Kansas Highway Patrol, and the Kansas Fish and Game morning looking for the animal reportedly involved in an encounter with 2 hunters. The hunters said they were walking in a field about 2.5 miles northwest of the city when they saw the black, furry creature at an estimated distance of 300 yards. About 8 feet tall and was walking on its hind legs. Law enforcement officers said they checked the area on foot, but were unable to sight the animal or any footprints it might have made. Alpert does not want amateurs, many of whom might be armed and therefore dangerous, tramping around over possible tracks or other evidence. The highway early Thursday morning. He said his group would not make any public announcements about their investigation unless there are significant developments. The Bigfoot has never been known to attack anybody, Alpert said. As far as I know, it has never been in a situation where it has been cornered by men. If it presented a threat to people, we would make some kind of announcement, but not unless there is a threat. Is there a K-Squatch? Or could all this be, as Leavenworth County authorities suggest, nothing more than the effects of a full moon? Maybe, but there seem to be a lot of people interested about whatever it is out there.